Welcome to Postcard English Stories, your friendly space to master English one story at a time. Whether you're here to improve your listening speaking or just enjoy engaging stories, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join our journey to English fluency. Let's dive right in. Have you ever promised yourself that you would start something tomorrow? But tomorrow never comes. Maybe it's that project you keep delaying, the book you wanted to read, or that dream you've always talked about, but somehow you just can't seem to begin. You're not lazy. You're not weak. But why do you keep putting things off? Why do you watch time slip away feeling guilty, frustrated, and stuck? You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. But deep down, you know the truth. Procrastination is stealing your time, your dreams, and your peace of mind. But what if I told you there is a way to stop a secret that can change everything? A way to take back control, to break free from the cycle of delay, and finally become the person you always wanted to be. In this video, I will reveal the powerful truth behind procrastination and share proven strategies to defeat it for good. Because you deserve better. You deserve progress, success, and peace. So take a deep breath and let's discover. Procrastination is a thief. It doesn't steal your money or your possessions. It steals your time, your dreams, and your peace of mind. And the worst part? It's silent, invisible, and it often feels like your own choice. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes another tomorrow. And before you know it, weeks, months, even years have slipped through your fingers. This is exactly what happened to David. David was a young man full of potential. He had big dreams, dreams of becoming a writer, of traveling the world, of building a life that he could be proud of. But every time he tried to take the first step, something held him back. He would sit at his desk, open his notebook, and then nothing. His mind would wander. His phone would call to him. And before he knew it, an hour had passed. I'll start tomorrow, he whispered to himself, closing the notebook. But tomorrow always looked the same. David wasn't lazy. He wasn't unmotivated. In fact, he thought about his dreams all the time. He imagined himself holding his first published book, standing on a mountain overlooking a breathtaking view, living the life he had always wanted. But thinking and doing are two different things. His procrastination didn't start suddenly. It began quietly, like a gentle breeze that turned into a storm. At first, it was just a habit of scrolling on his phone for a few extra minutes. Then it became a pattern. Checking social media, watching videos, doing anything except what really mattered. But over time, David started to feel something else, a heavy, invisible weight. He felt guilty, ashamed, even afraid. What if I never start? What if I waste my life? But even these thoughts didn't push him to act. Instead, they made him feel more stuck. One day, David decided enough was enough. He looked at himself in the mirror, tired of his own excuses. He whispered, "Why can't I just start? Why do I keep waiting?" This question led David on a journey of discovery. He began to learn that procrastination wasn't just about laziness. It was about fear. Fear of failure. Fear of imperfection. Fear of the unknown. But he also discovered something else, a way out. David learned about the power of tiny steps. Instead of trying to write an entire book, he told himself, just write one sentence. Instead of thinking about becoming a famous author, he focused on becoming a person who writes every day. He didn't try to change everything at once, he just tried to take one small step. At first, it didn't feel like much. Some days he only wrote a single paragraph, but slowly something magical happened. His notebook began to fill up. His fear began to shrink. His guilt began to fade. And his dream began to feel possible again. David also discovered the power of setting a timer just 10 minutes. He would tell himself, I only need to focus for 10 minutes. But those 10 minutes often turned into 20, then 30, because the hardest part was always starting. But David didn't stop there. He also learned to remove distractions, putting his phone in another room, creating a quiet space where he could focus. And most importantly, he learned to be kind to himself. If he missed a day, he didn't beat himself up. He simply started again. And that's when David's life changed. He didn't just become more productive, he became happier. His dreams no longer felt like distant fantasies. They became goals, and then they became achievements. David's story is not just about him, it's about all of us. We all have something we want to do. Something we keep delaying, something that we tell ourselves we will start tomorrow. But tomorrow doesn't have to be a distant promise. It can be today, because the secret of never giving up is not about being perfect. It's about starting even when it feels hard. It's about moving forward even when it's slow. It's about being gentle with yourself even when you struggle. And it all begins with one small step. Breaking free from procrastination is not about becoming a different person overnight. It's about learning a few simple strategies and taking small, consistent steps. David discovered this, and so can you. But how do you actually do it? How do you stop procrastination, not just for a day, but for good step one? The power of tiny steps. David learned that trying to do everything at once was his biggest mistake. He would look at his dream of becoming a writer, and it felt huge, too big, too distant. So he decided to focus on the smallest step possible. Just write one sentence, he told himself. And on some days, that's all he did. But that one sentence led to another, then another. And soon his notebook began to fill up. Because the secret is this: small steps build momentum. One small action today leads to another tomorrow. And before you know it, you are moving forward. So start with something tiny. If you want to exercise, just put on your shoes. If you want to read, open the book. If you want to study, write the first word. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress. Step 2. The 5-minute rule. David also discovered the power of the 5-minute rule. Whenever he felt stuck, whenever his mind whispered, I don't feel like it, he would tell himself, just do it for 5 minutes. Because the hardest part of any task is starting. But once you begin, it's easier to keep going. David found that his 5 minutes would often turn into 15, then 30. But even if they didn't, he still won. Because 5 minutes was better than nothing. Try it now. Think of something you have been delaying. Set a timer for just 5 minutes. Start. Even if it feels too small, remember it's not about how much you do. It's about building the habit of starting. Step 3. Create a distraction-free zone. David used to write with his phone next to him, and every few minutes he would check notifications, messages, social media. But then he realized something. His phone wasn't just a tool, it was a thief stealing his focus. So he made a decision. Whenever he wrote, he would leave his phone in another room. He would create a space where his mind could focus. No distractions. Just him and his words. And the difference was magical. His focus grew stronger. His writing became easier. His time felt more valuable. You can do the same. Find a place where you can work without distractions. Turn off notifications. Close unnecessary tabs. Protect your focus like a treasure. Step 4. Be kind to yourself. One of the biggest traps of procrastination is guilt. When you delay something, you feel bad, and that guilt makes you delay it even more. David used to beat himself up whenever he missed a day. I'm so lazy, he would whisper. But he learned that this voice was part of the problem. So he changed his approach. If he missed a day, he didn't get angry. He simply started again. No guilt, no shame, just progress. Because the truth is, you are human. You will have bad days. You will make mistakes. But that doesn't mean you are a failure. It means you are learning. Be kind to yourself. Talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. Encourage yourself. Forgive yourself. And keep going. Step 5. The reward system. David also discovered that his brain loved rewards, so he used them to his advantage. Whenever he finished a task, he would give himself a small reward, a cup of tea, a short walk, a favorite song. And this made his brain associate work with pleasure. But he didn't stop there. He created a bigger reward for bigger milestones, like finishing a chapter. This made the journey feel exciting, not exhausting. You can do this too. Set small rewards for small tasks and bigger rewards for bigger achievements. Train your brain to love progress. Step 6. Accountability. Finally, David learned that he was stronger with support. So he told a friend about his dream of becoming a writer. And that friend became his accountability partner. They would check on each other's progress, share their struggles, and celebrate their wins. And this made the journey feel less lonely. You can do the same. Tell someone you trust about your goal. Share your progress with them. Or join a community of people who are also trying to grow. Because you are not alone. And together, we are always stronger. In the next section, we will dive even deeper. You will learn how to transform your mindset, reprogram your habits, and become unstoppable. Because the secret of never giving up is not just about what you do. It's about who you become. David's journey taught him something powerful, that breaking free from procrastination isn't just about action. It's about mindset. It's about the way you see yourself, the way you talk to yourself, and the way you understand your own thoughts. The mindset of growth. David used to see himself as someone who struggled with procrastination. But that label was a prison. It made him believe that he was stuck, that he was naturally lazy, that he was simply not capable of being consistent. But as he took small steps, something changed. He began to see himself as someone who was learning to take action. He was no longer a procrastinator. He was a beginner, and that made all the difference. Because your identity shapes your actions. If you believe you are lazy, you act lazy. But if you believe you are someone who is learning, you become someone who takes small, consistent steps. Reframing failure. Another powerful change was how David saw failure. In the past, a bad day meant he was a failure. If he missed a day of writing, he would feel guilty and tell himself, "I will never succeed." But now he saw failure differently. A bad day was not the end, it was a lesson. Missing one day didn't mean he was a failure. It meant he was learning what didn't work. David began to keep a failure journal. Every time he struggled, he wrote down what happened, why it happened, and what he could learn from it. This turned failure from a monster into a teacher. The power of positive self-talk. The voice in your head is the most powerful voice you will ever hear. But for David, that voice was a critic always pointing out his mistakes, his laziness, his fears. But one day he asked himself, would I talk to a friend this way? He wouldn't. So he changed the way he spoke to himself. Instead of saying, I'm so lazy, he began to say, I'm learning to be more consistent. Instead of saying, I will never change, he began to say, I'm growing one step at a time. Positive self-talk became his secret weapon. It didn't mean he lied to himself. It meant he encouraged himself even when things were hard. Gratitude over regret. David also learned to focus on what he had done instead of what he hadn't. He started a gratitude journal, but with a twist. Instead of just writing what he was thankful for, he wrote what he was proud of. Today, I wrote one paragraph. Today, I avoided distractions for 15 minutes. Today, I started even when I didn't feel like it. Focusing on his small wins gave him energy. It turned his mind from regret to motivation. The power of visualization. David also discovered the power of visualization. Every morning he would close his eyes and imagine himself writing. He would see the words filling the page. He would feel the joy of completing his book. This wasn't just a fantasy, it was a practice. Because your mind believes what you repeatedly imagine. And by visualizing his success, David began to believe in it. Letting go of perfectionism. One of the biggest enemies of progress is perfectionism. David used to think, if I can't write perfectly, I shouldn't write at all. But he learned that perfection is an illusion. Even the best writers write messy first drafts. Even the most successful people make mistakes. So he gave himself permission to be imperfect. He wrote messy sentences knowing he could fix them later. He took action knowing it didn't have to be perfect. Accountability to himself. At first, David needed his friend to keep him accountable, but over time he discovered something even more powerful: self-accountability. He began to write a daily promise to himself. Today, I will write even if it's just one sentence. Today, I will avoid distractions for 10 minutes. Today, I will speak kindly to myself. These promises became a contract with himself, and every time he kept a promise, he became more confident. Rewriting his story. Most importantly, David rewrote his story. He was no longer the guy who struggled with procrastination. He was someone who was growing, learning, and becoming better every day. And that's the mindset that changed everything. In the next section, we will explore how you can build a daily routine that keeps you consistent, motivated, and unstoppable. Building a daily routine that keeps you consistent, motivated, and unstoppable is the final piece of the puzzle. David discovered this the hard way because without a routine, even the best intentions can fade away. The power of a simple morning routine. David learned that how he started his day determined how it went. So he designed a simple morning routine that set him up for success. Gratitude first. Before getting out of bed, he whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for another day, another chance." Visualization. He closed his eyes for 1 minute and imagined himself writing focused and happy. One small action. He wrote just one sentence. Some days that one sentence led to a full page. But even if it didn't, he had already won. Creating a distraction. Free workspace. David's workspace used to be full of distractions. His phone, his social media, even his thoughts. But he made a change. He turned off notifications. He placed his phone in another room. He kept his desk clean with just his notebook and a pen. This became his sacred space, a place where his mind was clear and his focus was sharp. The Pomodoro technique: work smarter, not harder. David also discovered the Pomodoro technique, a powerful method for staying focused. He set a timer for 25 minutes. He worked without distractions until the timer went off. He took a 5-minute break. After 4 Pomodoros, he took a longer break. This technique made his work feel like a game. Instead of dreading long hours, he looked forward to each focused sprint. Night reflection. Learning from each day. Every night, David took 5 minutes to reflect. What did I do well today? What could I improve tomorrow? What am I grateful for? This simple habit kept him aware of his progress. It turned each day into a lesson. The weekly review. David also created a weekly review, a special time each Sunday to look back on his week. Did I stay consistent? What small wins did I achieve? What challenges did I face? What is one thing I want to focus on next week? The weekly review gave him a sense of direction. It helped him see his growth and stay motivated. Rewarding progress, not perfection. David knew that his mind needed motivation, so he used rewards. After a good writing session, he would reward himself with a walk or his favorite tea. If he finished a chapter, he treated himself to a movie. But he didn't only reward big achievements. He celebrated small wins too, because he knew that success is built one small step at a time. Building a support network. David's journey was not a lonely one. He stayed connected with his accountability partner, his friend, who also had big goals. They shared their struggles, encouraged each other, and celebrated their wins. You can do the same. Find someone who shares your goals. Keep each other accountable. Remind each other to keep going. Simplifying his goals. At first, David had too many goals. He wanted to write, to read, to exercise, to learn new skills, but this overwhelmed him. So he simplified. He chose just 3 main goals. Write every day. Read for 15 minutes each night. Avoid distractions during focused work. This focus gave him clarity. Instead of feeling scattered, he felt in control. Turning struggles into stories. David also learned to see his struggles differently. Instead of feeling ashamed when he failed, he turned his struggles into stories. Today, I struggled to start, but I wrote 1 paragraph. I got distracted, but I caught myself and returned to my work. By seeing his challenges as stories, he turned his setbacks into lessons. The morning affirmation. David began each day with a simple affirmation. I am someone who takes action. I am learning. I am growing. He repeated it even when he didn't feel confident. And over time, those words became true. Designing your own routine. You can create your own routine too. Morning ritual. Start with gratitude, visualization, and 1 small action. Distraction-free space, remove anything that steals your focus. The Pomodoro technique, use focused sprints to stay productive. Night reflection, learn from your day. Weekly review, celebrate your progress. Reward system, motivate yourself with small rewards. Because a strong routine is not a prison. It is a foundation, a path that keeps you moving forward, even when motivation fades. In the next section, we will explore how to handle setbacks and challenges without giving up, because the journey to never giving up is not always smooth, but it is always worth it. No journey is without challenges. Even with a strong routine, clear goals, and a positive mindset, there will be days when you feel stuck, when you want to give up, when your mind is filled with doubt. David experienced this too. Despite all his progress, there were days when his mind whispered, "It's too hard, I can't do this." But he learned something powerful. Setbacks are not the end. They are part of the journey. The nature of setbacks. Setbacks are not failures. They are tests. They are moments that ask you, how badly do you want this? Are you willing to keep going? Even when it's hard. David discovered that setbacks can be of 3 types. External setbacks, problems that come from outside distractions, unexpected responsibilities, people who doubt you. Internal setbacks, problems that come from within, self-doubt, fear, lack of motivation. Emotional setbacks, when your own emotions like stress, sadness, or frustration become obstacles. Step 1. Accepting setbacks. The first step to overcoming setbacks is acceptance. David learned to stop fighting against his struggles. Instead of saying, "This shouldn't be happening," he whispered, "This is part of my journey." Because when you accept setbacks, they lose their power. They become just another part of your story. Step 2. The power of the pause. Whenever David felt overwhelmed, he used the power of the pause. He would stop, take a deep breath, and ask himself 3 questions. What am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? What is one small thing I can do next? This simple habit gave him control over his emotions. It turned his anxiety into clarity. Step 3. Reconnecting with your why. David had a dream to become a writer, but on difficult days that dream felt distant. So he developed a habit. Whenever he felt like giving up, he reminded himself of his why. Why do I want to write? Who am I writing for? How will my life change if I keep going? This reminder gave him energy. It turned his struggles into a mission. Step 4. The support system. David didn't face his setbacks alone. He talked to his friend, his accountability partner. He shared his struggles, and his friend listened, encouraged, and reminded him of his progress. You don't have to struggle alone either. Find someone who believes in you. Share your journey. Let them remind you of your strength. Step 5. Reframe your mindset. David learned that setbacks are not failures, they are feedback. They show you what isn't working so you can make a change. If he missed a day of writing, it meant his routine needed adjustment. If he felt unmotivated, it meant he needed to reconnect with his dream. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of success. Step 6. Restarting quickly. One of David's secrets was that he never let a bad day turn into a bad week. If he missed a day, he didn't feel guilty. He simply started again. Just because I missed one day doesn't mean I'm failing. I'm still on the journey. This mindset helped him bounce back faster. Step 7. Practicing self-compassion. David used to be his own worst critic, but he learned that being harsh with himself didn't help, it only made things worse. So he started speaking to himself like a friend. It's okay to struggle. I am learning. I am proud of my progress. This kindness gave him strength. It turned his setbacks into stepping stones. Step 8. The 24-hour rule. David created a rule for himself. Whenever he felt like giving up, he would wait 24 hours. He promised himself that he wouldn't make a final decision in a moment of frustration. Most of the time, after 24 hours, his feelings changed. His motivation returned. His doubts disappeared. Turning setbacks into stories. David also learned to turn his setbacks into stories. Instead of feeling ashamed of his struggles, he shared them with his friend. Today, I didn't want to write, but I wrote 2 sentences. I felt like giving up, but I remembered why I started. This turned his struggles into proof of his resilience. Building emotional resilience. David didn't just become consistent, he became resilient. He learned that success is not about never falling. It is about getting back up every time. You can do the same, because setbacks are not the end. They are part of your journey. In the next section, we will explore how to turn your dream into a reality, how to make progress faster, how to overcome self-doubt, and how to keep your motivation alive until you achieve your goals. David's journey was about more than just overcoming procrastination. It was about turning his dreams into reality. But dreams do not become real by accident. They require action, patience, and a clear strategy. Step 1. Setting clear goals. David learned that dreams are just wishes until they become goals. So he took his dream of becoming a writer and turned it into a clear, actionable goal. Instead of saying, I want to be a writer, he set a clear goal. I will write a book with 50,000 words. Instead of just dreaming, he broke it down, I will write 500 words every day. This made his dream real, tangible, and achievable. Step 2. Creating a roadmap. David didn't just set a big goal, he created a roadmap. He divided his 50,000-word book into 10 chapters each with 5,000 words. Week 1 complete. Chapter 1. Week 2 complete chapter 2. and so on. This made his dream feel possible. He wasn't just trying to write a book, he was completing one chapter at a time. Step 3. Tracking progress. To stay motivated, David tracked his progress every day. He used a simple notebook. Every day he wrote the date and how many words he completed. He celebrated his small wins. This gave him a sense of achievement, even on difficult days. Step 4. Overcoming self-doubt. Even with a plan, David still faced self-doubt. Is my writing good enough? What if no one reads it? But he learned that self-doubt is just a voice, and you don't have to listen to it. Whenever doubt whispered, he reminded himself, I am not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to improve. Every writer starts somewhere. I will never know if I don't try. This gave him the courage to keep going. Step 5. Staying motivated with visualization. David didn't just work. He inspired himself every day. Each morning he closed his eyes and imagined holding his finished book in his hands, reading his words on a printed page, receiving messages from readers who loved his story. This visualization kept his motivation alive even on days when writing felt hard. Step 6. Learning from mistakes. David didn't write a perfect book. His first draft was full of mistakes. But instead of feeling ashamed, he saw mistakes as proof of progress. He didn't delete his bad paragraphs, he fixed them. He didn't hide his bad days, he learned from them. Because mistakes are not the opposite of success. They are the path to success. Step 7. Seeking feedback. David also discovered the power of feedback. He shared his chapters with his friend, his accountability partner, and asked for honest opinions. What did you like? What was confusing? What can I improve? This feedback made his writing stronger, but it also did something else. It showed him that his words mattered. It gave him confidence. Step 8. Staying consistent. David knew that his dream depended on one thing: consistency. So he made a promise to himself. No matter how I feel, I will write something every day. Some days he wrote 500 words. Some days he only wrote 50, but he never missed a day. And slowly his notebook filled up. His chapters came to life. His dream became a reality. Step 9. Celebrating the finish line. After months of writing, David finally wrote the last sentence of his book. He stared at the page, his heart racing. But his journey didn't end there. He took another brave step. He sent his book to a publisher. And after a few weeks, he received a message. We love your story. We want to publish it. David's dream was no longer just a dream. It was a reality. Step 10. Inspiring others. But David's greatest achievement wasn't just his book. It was his journey. His story became a message of hope, a reminder that anyone can overcome procrastination, achieve their dreams, and become unstoppable. And now that message is for you, because your dreams are not impossible. They are waiting for you. All you have to do is begin. Dreams become reality through action, but sustaining that reality requires something even more powerful: the mindset of never giving up. David had turned his dream into a reality, but his journey didn't end there. Because success is not a destination. It is a journey. And even after his book was published, even after his dream became real, David knew that he had to keep growing, keep creating, keep pushing forward. The power of consistent growth. David realized that achieving one goal is not the end. It is the beginning of a new journey. So he set a new goal. He decided to write another book. He began sharing his writing journey with others. He started mentoring new writers who struggled with procrastination. Because success is not just about what you achieve. It is about who you become. Embracing lifelong learning. David also became a lifelong learner. He knew that the world was full of knowledge waiting to be discovered, so he committed to continuous learning. He read books by successful writers. He watched interviews with his favorite authors. He joined a writers' group where he could learn from others. Learning didn't just make him a better writer. It made him a better person, overcoming new challenges. Success brought new challenges. David now had readers who expected great stories. He faced criticism, negative reviews, and the pressure to keep writing. But he didn't let this stop him. Instead, he remembered his journey. He remembered the power of starting small, of learning from mistakes, of staying consistent. Criticism didn't hurt him, it helped him grow. Pressure didn't break him, it made him stronger. Staying humble and grateful. Even with his success, David remained humble. He remembered the days when he struggled to write a single sentence. He remembered how far he had come. Every morning he still whispered, "Thank you." Every night he still reflected on his day, writing down what he was proud of and what he could improve. Because success without gratitude is empty. Sharing his story. David began sharing his story with others. He spoke to aspiring writers. He wrote articles about overcoming procrastination, and he encouraged others to take small steps toward their dreams. His message was simple, but powerful. If I can do it, so can you. Helping others on their journey. David's greatest joy came from helping others. He mentored young writers. He answered their questions. He celebrated their small wins. And every time someone told him, "Your story inspired me," he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Because true success is not just about achieving your own dreams, it is about helping others achieve theirs. The legacy of never giving up. David's story became a reminder that anyone can overcome procrastination, that anyone can turn a dream into reality, and that anyone can become unstoppable. But his story is not just his, it is yours too. Because the journey to never giving up is not just about one person, it is about all of us. It is about believing that you can do more, become more, and live more fully. It is about starting even when it feels hard. It is about getting back up even when you fall. And it is about never giving up not just on your dreams, but on yourself. So if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you want to become someone greater, remember David's journey. Remember his struggle, his courage, his growth. And remember this, your journey is just beginning. All you have to do is take the first step.